Elara lived alone in a small cottage nestled against the whispering woods. Her days had settled into a quiet rhythm, marked more by the changing light than the ticking clock. She often felt the years pressing in. A subtle acceleration that left her breathless one crisp autumn afternoon, drawn by the vibrant crimson of an unfamiliar maple leaf caught in the breeze. She ventured deeper into the forest than usual, pushing aside a thick curtain of ivy draped over crumbling stones. She stumbled into a hidden clearing, and her heart stuttered. Before her lay a garden bathed in golden light. Untouched by autumn's decay, roses bloomed with impossible fervor, their fragrance heavy and sweet, while butterflies the size of her hand drifted lazily on air thick with pollen and peace. It felt ancient, sacred, and profoundly still, as if the very air resisted the world-a-Euro's frantic pace. Stepping onto the soft, moss-covered path felt like sinking into a warm bath. The overwhelming rush of her thoughts, the errands left undone, the letters unanswered, simply melted away, replaced by a profound quietude. She watched a single dewdrop cling to the velvet petal of a deep purple iris. It took what felt like minutes, not seconds, for it to gather its weight and finally fall. The frantic chirping of sparrows outside the garden walls softened to a languid, melodic song. Elara sat on a sun-warmed stone bench, the cool moss beneath her fingers grounding her. Time didn't just slow here, it stretched, becoming tangible, something she could breathe in deeply for the first time in years. The relentless pressure in her chest eased, replaced by a simple, profound awareness of the sun on her face and the scent of damp earth. She returned the next day, and the next, carrying her simple lunch and a worn sketchbook. In the garden's embrace, hours dissolved like sugar in tea. She found herself observing the intricate architecture of a spider's web, glistening with morning dew. With the focus of a scholar, she sketched the slow unfurling of a fern frond, each delicate curve a marvel. One day, she noticed a small tortoise making its deliberate way across the path. She watched its patient journey, the steady rhythm of its legs, the ancient look in its dark eyes. For what seemed like an entire afternoon, yet the sun barely moved in the sky. The garden taught her patience, not as a virtue, but as a fundamental state of being, a deep, resonant calm that seeped into her bones. Her secret haven remained undisturbed until a blustery spring morning. She found a young boy huddled under the weeping willow, its branches trailing in the still pond. His name was Leo, and his face was streaked with tears, his small frame shaking. He'd lost his dog. His voice barely a whisper, choked with panic. Elara gently led him to the stone bench. Rest here, little one, she murmured. This is a special place. Breathe. Leo's frantic gasps gradually slowed, mirroring the garden's rhythm. They sat in silence, watching dragonflies hover like jeweled helicopters. The frantic edge of his fear softened, replaced by a quiet sadness, but also a newfound stillness. It feels calmer here, Leo whispered after a long while, his eyes wide. Elara simply nodded, understanding the garden's gift. Leo became a frequent, cherished visitor. They didn't talk much, but shared the profound quiet. They watched ants build elaborate highways in the soil, marveling at their purposeful industry unfolding at its own deliberate pace. They lay on their backs, gazing at clouds morphing from dragons to ships in a sky that seemed vast and unchanging. Elara saw Leo's restless energy settle, replaced by a thoughtful curiosity. One day, tracing the gnarled bark of an ancient oak with his small finger, he said thoughtfully, "Time feels thick here, like honey." Elara smiled, her heart swelling. The garden wasn't just hers anymore. It was weaving its gentle magic around this young soul too, teaching him the value of simply being. Seasons cycled. Outside the hidden ivy curtain, winters howled, summers blazed. Yet within the garden, change was a subtle, graceful dance. Blooms faded slowly, petals drifting to the ground over days. Not hours, the vibrant greens deepened gradually into autumnal golds and fiery reds, holding their brilliance far longer than anywhere else. Elara felt the passage of years in her own body, a stiffness in her joints, silver threads multiplying in her hair. Yet within the garden's embrace, the sharp edge of aging softened. It wasn't immortality, it was a profound deceleration, a permission to savor each exquisite, lingering moment. The frantic fear of time running out dissolved here. Time wasn't lost. It was deeply, richly experienced. Sip by precious sip, Leo grew taller, his visits less frequent as boyhood gave way to teenage pursuits, yet he always returned, especially when life felt overwhelming. The garden remained his sanctuary. Elara, too, felt her own seasons shifting. One soft twilight, the air fragrant with night-blooming jasmine, she sat with Leo, now a young man. Fireflies blinked like slow, scattered stars around them. It's different for me now, she said softly, her voice peaceful. The garden holds me gently, but my path leads elsewhere. Soon Leo took her frail hand, his eyes bright. It saved me, he whispered. Elara smiled, gazing at the timeless beauty around them. No, my dear, it showed us how to save moments, how to hold them, not tightly, but openly, letting them fill us until it's time to let them drift. Like these petals, she watched a single rose petal spiral down in the still air, taking what felt like a small eternity to reach the earth. Elara's final visits were like blessings. She moved slower, her touch even gentler on the leaves and petals. One perfect, golden afternoon, she simply sat on her bench, breathing in the honeyed air, watching the butterflies dance their slow waltz. She closed her eyes, a smile touching her lips, and slipped away as quietly as a sigh. Becoming part of the garden's enduring stillness, Leo found her, peaceful amidst the blooms. He tended the garden now, guarding its secret. Visitors, rare and heartsore, might stumble upon it, feeling the world's rush dissolve. They'd sit, breathe, and find their own frantic time, yielding to the garden's deep, ancient rhythm, a place where moments stretched into forever and the soul could finally rest, remembering how to simply be held in the gentle arms of slowed time.